So that's a TV series on Paramount Plus, right? With Sylvester Stallone. So there will be a bunch of stuff in those scenes that I personally engraved for them.
Welcome to the second episode, officially episode number 2 of the Laser Dispatch podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Michael Mullins from Sonoma Laser Engraving, or what you might know him better from, the Laser Engraving 911 YouTube channel. Michael, thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So, yeah, today I'm going to give a little intro what we'll be talking about, and then I'll have Michael do his intro about his business. Today I wanted to talk about a topic that I love discussing, and that's the difference between a product-centric laser engraving business model versus a customer-centric laser engraving or laser cutting business model. And I was planning on doing a video of this I had it already planned, and then I saw Michael had tackled this topic for his own content, and I watched it, and I thought it was excellent. So I figured instead of reinventing the wheel, I would rather just have the man himself here and kind of discuss what he talked about in that video and help anybody out that, if you're looking to go into this as a business, this is something that's going to come up when you're deciding what kind of products you want to make or what kind of services you want to offer. This spectrum of business style is going to come up, and you're going to have to think it through. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do that, I want to have Michael introduce himself and his businesses and his YouTube channel in his own words.
For sure. Thanks. Yeah, that is a great topic to talk about. And I think that it's not talked about enough, right? Because when there's so many, different terms for a laser engraving, like a laser engraving business, how to start your laser engraving business, how to get into the laser engraving business, how to, make all these videos, but they don't really talk in detail about the different styles of what a laser engraving business could be. So it is an interesting topic to talk about it. And I'm excited to dive into it a little deeper with you as well, because you have some experience on the other side of the product-centric based business that I want to get into, but have always shied away from for various reasons, which I'm sure we'll talk about tonight, right? But yeah, as far as my business goes, I started Sonoma Laser Engraving over a decade ago, and it actually started in California. Right now I've lived here in Georgia for 5 years, but I started in California in Sonoma County, Sonoma Laser Engraving. So
Makes sense.
Pretty standard naming of the company there, Sonoma Laser Engraving, right? I just knew that I wanted to have, as far as naming a business, I knew that I wanted to have the word laser engraving in the title somewhere, right? So it could have been North Bay Laser Engraving. It could have been California North Laser Engraving, but I figured the county I lived in would be simple enough. That's what I landed on. And it worked. It stuck. So I've been doing that for over a decade, and I started with only a fiber laser. So I started with only a fiber laser because I didn't understand the gravity of at the time of why it was important to have a CO2 and a fiber laser. Like I didn't really get how much business would be done with the CO2 laser, and I thought I could just run the whole business on a fiber laser. So I had a lot of fiber laser experience very early on, even at a time when fiber lasers were extremely expensive and hard to get. The barrier to entry at that time, a decade ago, was pretty high. It was in the $35K range to get a decent fiber laser. I know it's really wild what's happened since then, but I was able to get one, and I started. I don't know how much time we have, but it's an interesting origin story. I didn't actually get it because I wanted to open an engraving business. I had a different business at the time that was an e-cigarette vape shop. And I wanted to offer custom engraving services on people's vapes as they purchase them in my store. That was my big plan. And I knew that in China, they were using this thing called the fiber laser to do it. Before, when I bought the product, there was engraving on it, and I figured out how they were doing it. So I was like, yes, this is going to be amazing. I put no market research into this. No, I didn't even ask anybody if this is something they wanted. I'm just going to buy this $35,000 machine, and we're going to just offer it in the store. Why they wait? It's going to be amazing. So you can kind of guess by the way I'm talking of what happened.
What happened next?
What happened is because I didn't do any market research and because I didn't do any math behind it, nobody really wanted that done because they were buying things that cost a very small, that they didn't have much meaning to them. They were an alternative cigarette device. And they were probably just going to buy the new unit when it came out then in the next 3 months and throw the other one away, because that's the world that we lived in at the time when there wasn't a vape shop on every corner. It was a very hot thing at the time. They're like, why should I spend an extra $20 or $30 to put my favorite football logo on the vape when I'm just going to chuck it? This thing means nothing to me. So there's the lesson, right? Is people want to engrave things that have meaning to them to make it even more meaningful, right? I didn't know that at the time. I couldn't give the engraving service away. I could not even offer it free with the purchase of a device. Like, that's how bad it was. So I'm looking at this machine in my warehouse going, I paid cash. This is not this is not a machine lease. I was not making payments on this. So I was like, I got to figure out something to do with this fiber laser right now. So I then actually put my research hat on and I said, what industries can benefit from what this machine can do? And is there anybody else doing this, this type of engraving in my area? There wasn't. So I went to the machine shops, walked in, went to the jewelry stores, walked in with examples of what my machine could do, went to the firearm guys, the gun stores, went to the knife makers, went to the knife shows. I started slinging my new, I think at the time it was, what was the name of the company before it was Sonoma Laser? It was something very techy and it didn't make sense. But anyway, I walked in with samples of what I had engraved, and guess what? These people were amazed by what my machine could do, and they had a need for what I could do with that machine. So a business was born on accident. Another side business was born on accident called Sonoma Laser Engraving. And then shortly after that, I started getting calls for cutting boards, acrylic, wood cutting, leather, all these other things that the fiber laser could not do, because I built a website. I built a website that showcased our services, but it didn't talk about glass or wood or leather. And I was like, oh, I need a CO2 laser too. I'm missing all this business right now. It's just flying out the door. I'm sorry, I can't engrave that. I can't do that. I can't do that. So I bought a CO2 laser, and then the business flourished and kept flourishing after that. So that's the quick, short end story. And my first employee was Alex from Laser Everything. We actually built that business up together because he was already working for me at my vape shop. And I pulled him from that company to Sonoma Laser and said, you are going to work with me on this business now. And he was like, yes. So
that's awesome.
That's how we started.
It's a wild story. Did you go directly from the $35,000 fiber laser to buying your Epilogue?
No. And That's a great question. I didn't know if we had time to answer that. But that's a great question. I did not do my research once again. And I got a machine that I was comfortable paying cash for at the time, which was not an Epilogue.
eBay.
And I got bit. I got bit really hard. I'm not going to say who it is. I try not to ever say who it is, but it's a pretty big name out there right now. And I will never use their products again. It was nothing but a nightmare. I had to threaten legal action if they didn't take the machine back and give me my money back. And that was an experience that I needed to have to know what I needed to buy, which was the Epilogue. So then I went into debt. Then I pulled out a commercial. Then I pulled out a loan for that, a commercial loan to buy that machine. And it took me about 3 years to pay it off. I'm not going to say I paid it off in 6 months like some of these gurus on YouTube.
That's not
right?
a 6-month payoff machine.
No, it was $48,000 when I bought it.
Yeah, that's a serious buy.
And I'll tell you what, it's still here in my shop, and it's working great, and it has made me all that money back and then some. Right? It's just a solid machine.
Yeah, that's a wild story. I also got started in a similar time frame. I started about 10 years ago, maybe 2013, 2014-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that people don't understand, if you're getting started now, is the information that's out there now did not exist online. There was nothing. It was like you just kind of had to figure it out. You had to call, unless you knew people in maybe the mechanical space or whatever they're using. I didn't know anybody. I came from like kind of a design background. I was a leather worker. I was just watching whatever videos I could on YouTube, and I would just call the different companies being like, this is what I need to do. Like, what do you have that can do it? There's no prices online. It was a much different situation, and it was a lot easier to make the wrong choice.
Very, very much, very well said. Yeah, there was not a lot of videos out there on techniques or how to do this or how to do that. The software was, well, for certain machines, the software was pretty rough. Some of the software is still out there today for the fiber lasers. You can still use EasyCAD. They have Lightburn now, which is a game changer. But they didn't, there was all these other softwares to control your laser that were just junk. And if you tried to call somebody, it was at this time where it was kind of in its infancy, and especially with the fiber laser, nobody wanted to share their settings. It was, anybody who had a $35,000 fiber laser, like they were not sharing anything. They didn't want to talk and share freely or share, give and take, share. Like there were people just trying to sell settings, and like it was totally different. It was a different time.
Yeah, so let's touch on the YouTube channel, since a lot of people watching might know you more from Laser Engraving 911. Obviously, if you're subscribed to me, you're most likely already subscribed to him, so we don't need to do too much explaining.
I think so.
But I will say, just for anybody who might not be, and I will say, my favorite video on your channel, the tape method for creating jigs on the fiber laser using the black masking tape.
Yeah.
I do that to this day. I don't even make jigs anymore. I have black tape all over my fiber laser back there, the whole thing.
Dude, it's the jam.
It's the best way of doing it. I just do 2 layers of black tape. It sits, whenever I'm like little brass pieces sit in it real nicely.
Yep.
You don't need anything else. So
and that's that's an old video too. So you're gonna have to post a link to it in the description of this.
I'll post a link to that video.
Not a lot of people, they kind of miss that. That's one of those videos that I think a lot of people missed. And because the audio's bad, it's like the fans running in the background. This is one of my earliest videos before I realized I needed to have a quiet studio when I'm filming. But it is a great trick. It is it's a very cool hack.
Great video. Yeah. So you started that at what time? How long ago did you start that the channel?
I started that right when I moved here to Georgia and moved my business out of California and brought it to Georgia. We were here for 2 months, and then the pandemic hit. So I was moving a business to a completely new area where no one knows me. All I've got is my Google and Yelp reviews, which were great. That's a help, right? But I'm new. I'm the new kid in town, the new engraver in town, and then everybody goes on lockdown and the phones stop ringing. Even my customers in California that I still had contracts with, they weren't calling me. I still had business, and I still to this day have business in clients in California, right? It just stopped ringing. And I'm sitting in my brand new little office I built, my little home office, because I'm working from home now. And I'm like, what am I going to do? So I started I decided to start a YouTube channel. And I made my first video, and it actually has nothing to do with engraving. If you look on my channel, the first video I have, which is hilarious, is how to remove an engraving.
That's very meta.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
So the first video of my channel is how to remove an engraving that got messed up. Because a lady called me and said, I have 100 boxes and all the engravings are wrong
Oh my
on
God.
them. Can I pay you to remove them and re-engrave the correct logo? So I was like, well, I'll make a video
Yeah.
on this. It was horrible. It was a horrible job. Nobody ever wants to do it, but you can do it. And that video basically went nowhere. Now I'm just gonna be honest, and I was just had a lot of time on my hands. So the next video I did was how to make leather patches and put them on hats using 3M spray adhesive instead of other glues or Hide Bond or all this stuff. You can actually use 3M spray, let it dry, and then remelt it with the hat press.
Wow.
So, and that video got a couple of views, and you know what? I was like, this is dumb. This is dumb. I'm done with this. And I literally did not go back to YouTube Studio for months. And the phone started ringing again. Started to get little jobs here and there. People delivering me stuff with masks on and in bags, leaving them on the top of the driveway. They still wanted to get things engraved. And then I got an alert like 4 months later, hey, you're ready to be monetized. And I was like, what? What is this? Because remember, I stopped checking. I stopped looking. I didn't care. I gave up after 2 videos. And I saw that video had taken off. I had no idea that people were actually watching
your videos.
Watching it over and over and over. It had like 4,000, 5,000 views, or I don't know, it had a lot. Enough to get monetized.
Yeah.
So that reinvigorated me, man, to like start making more content like that. And it was fun when I did it, and it got me excited to like, hey, people want to hear what I have to share, and this could be a cool thing. So I've been doing it ever since.
Awesome. And yeah, you have a lot of great insight to share. Again, if anybody who doesn't watch Michael's channel, please just subscribe and start watching the stuff because it's great. So pivoting to our topic at hand.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, I had written on my whiteboard over here, this was not exactly product centric versus customer centric. I didn't have it in those words like you did, but it was a topic that I was going to be making a video for soon. And then we both were presenters at the Laser MakerCon 2024 online conference hosted by Emily, that mom of the laser. And that is right. Yeah. Okay. We met in person at the Next Level Laser Conference. I'm getting all these conferences mixed up.
Yeah.
That was about a month ago. Yeah. So the one we just did was the Laser MakerCon 2024. I'm not sure if you can access that stuff after the fact in case anyone missed it, but there was a lot of just talks from different people running laser businesses, a lot of different topics in there. And Michael's topic was product-centric versus customer-centric. And I was like, wow, this is exactly what I wanted to do. So, and like you mentioned, we come from the opposite spectrums of this. I have only really ever done product-centric with a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of customer work in there over the years. Very small amount outside of my niche of what I do.
Right.
Like so things where someone's like, hey, this is something completely different and random. Can you do this for me? I've done very little of that.
Right.
And you on the opposite end mostly do what people bring to you. Jobs.
So much stuff, dude. And so many items.
And then very little of, or until recently, very little of, hey, I'm buying X amount stock of this item and I'm going to start offering it.
Right.
So if anybody here is lost, what would you say, give like an overview of the differences between the two right now? Just like a 500-foot view of what the two are.
500-foot view is product-centric based laser engraving business exclusively, is meaning that you're going to go to all these suppliers that I talk about on my channel, or Justin might talk about, or anybody who sells blank items ready to be customized with your laser engraving machines. And you're going to make really nice product photos. You're going to get product listings, whether that's on Etsy, Shopify, whatever. And you're going to say, hey, I've got this cutting board, I've got this coaster set, and I can put your custom logo on it, and this is how much it costs, and I'll ship it to you, and it'll be great. And that's all you do. And you have inventory, you have a shipping section of your business set up, you're doing advertising on whatever platforms you want to advertise on, and that's what you do. And when someone calls you and says, hey, can you engrave the back of the watch, or this pocket knife for my grandpa, or this wooden mushroom sculpture like I got today, you say, no, we don't do that here. We only engrave what we buy that is blank, and we ship it out. How's that?
Just to interrupt you there, that is so true. I wrote on my website, I had it it's been up there for the past however many years I've been doing my stuff. I do not do anything outside of clear acrylic. That's
Right.
what I would write. I literally wrote that on my website, so you're not lying. I would turn down everything, almost everything that people came at to me with.
Right. And a customer-centric based laser engraving business is where this is my story, is where you are getting emails all day and phone calls all day of people that have precious items or gifts or things that they've purchased, or even from companies and corporations and machine shops and industrial companies that need laser engraving on whatever it is they are holding in their hand. And that could be a single item, that could be thousands of items, right? That could be 10,000 items, not kidding, right? So, but when they call and say, do you have a nice decanter set that you could engrave for me for my husband's birthday? You say, no, I don't have that because we don't carry inventory here. You'll have to go buy it at the store and bring it to me, and I will make it beautiful. That's the top down view.
The top down view.
Right.
So we'll go into the customer side first, the customer centric model first, because that's what you do mainly. For someone who is still kind of visualizing it, what would an average customer, regardless of who they are, another business, an attorney, a machine shop, whatever, what would an average interaction look like with you? Does it start with email? Do you do walk-ins? Do people literally come to your shop? What would that look like?
Yeah, so if you had a retail space, which can be cool and it can be expensive, but it can also be very cool. If you had a showroom and a retail space, you're going to get walk-ins, especially if you place your business in a place where they can drive by and see that Sonoma Laser Engraving sign. You're going to get walk-ins. But for me, I am a home-based business now. I used to be, I had a showroom and a big commercial space when I was in California. I make it clear on my website that I work by appointment only. So I feel like that adds a little kind of allure to as well as the nice Google and Yelp reviews that I have. It adds a little kind of mystique to
That's
what is
exclusive.
this guy by appointment only, right? But it's so I don't have random people showing up at my house, right?
Yes.
So it starts with a phone call. It starts with emails because my website is very easy to navigate, and it clearly gives you lots of options on the front page on how to get a hold of me. You can pick up the phone and call me. So I don't hide my email. You notice how a lot of product-centric based companies that are just doing product-centric based laser engraving, they don't put their phone number or their address anywhere. They want you to use the contact form, and that's all you get, right? So for me, if I want business, I need to put myself out there. So that's how it starts. It starts with a phone call, starts with an email. And then we discuss what the project is. I listen to them. They tell me what they have. I ask them a lot of questions before I give them a price or say yes. So I have learned over the years which questions to ask before you say yes. So that's really important, whether it's via email or phone call, is asking lots of questions about what they're about to drop off with you, or you will get screwed if you don't ask the right questions, because it could be something that you're not able to engrave, or it could be much larger than what they described it at, which, then you're screwed, right?
Right.
I have this little gift box that I'm going to give. Well, they could come in with something that looks like a toy chest for a kid that like you need to help them out of the trunk with. So you need to ask dimensions. What's the material? Is it metal? Is it wood? Is it plastic? Do you know? So, and that's kind of how it looks, you know?
Yeah. So I guess I'll ping pong it back to my end since I come from the product end. An average day for me would kind of be the opposite, I guess. I am set up on my website, on my Shopify site, and on Etsy. And with my stores, yes, there's not a whole lot of contact information. There is because I do offer some limited customization within the products that I offer, but only within the products that I offer. Like I won't do anything else. So for me, it's more, I do get a lot of emails, but it's usually questions about sizes and, exactly what they're getting, shipping times, where will I ship to? That's another big thing in the product-based world is you're going to be dealing with shipping, and that is a nightmare in itself. But yeah, a lot of it's that. It's tending to listings, tending to questions via email. I don't think I've ever once talked to a customer on the phone. I haven't given out my phone number. And yeah, from there, it's just it's a lot of planning. It's a lot of making sure I have enough stock because I do physically cut my raw materials. So that's the inventory that I hold is mostly one thing. I hold big sheets of acrylic that I keep back there. And, I have to make sure that I have enough to get through certain time periods. But yeah, it's mainly just tending to the internet that I would say is my day-to-day type situation.
Yeah, and don't forget that, as well as the phone calls and the talking and the emails I have to do, I actually get to walk right up to them.
Yes.
So I am meeting them face to face. So if it's a great day, it's a great day, and we're meeting face to face. If there's something wrong, we're meeting face to face. So you gotta be able to have a presence about you and be able to communicate and make good eye contact. You're kind of you're the salesman.
Oh yeah.
And you're the engraver. So you're front and center. Your personality is front and center, and your work is front and center.
Yeah. Yeah, when I had a commercial, I also had a commercial space in Philadelphia before I moved here, and I'm in my garage. But when I had that space, it was in a commercial area, commercial district. So I didn't care if people wanted to come by. It was the only time during my business years that I allowed people to stop by. And every once in a while, probably like 4 to 5 times, people are like, "Hey, can I stop by and pick up? Because I'm local. Can I come by and pick up my?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, absolutely." So there were a couple times where I did the, obviously by appointment only though. You can't just be having random people walking up.
Right. By appointment only.
Yeah. So, that was a part of my thing back then, but ever since moving to my house, you can't have foot traffic up and down, in and out of your house, in and out of your garage. At least not here. I live in New Jersey. It is a very strict business zoning type area. People are very quick to get on permits and all that stuff. So you don't want to get on their radar at all. Maybe if you live somewhere where they're a little bit more relaxed about how home businesses are run and all that stuff, it might not be a big deal. But where I live, I try not to be on their radar. Even though I'm doing nothing illegal, I'm completely legal business.
Totally.
But, I don't want to get on the neighbors. I don't want to get on zoning. You don't want to get on those people's lists.
No, you don't. And I would say that it would be definitely more difficult in a more restrictive neighborhood that has like an HOA or something like that to run the type of business that I do. Obviously, if you're running a product-centric based business out of your home, even in an HOA, there's no big deal because you're just there. And the only time you're leaving is when you have to take your stuff or to the post office or something like that. But here I'm in a pretty old neighborhood. There's no HOA, and I don't have people parking for long periods of time at my location because they're not watching me engrave. They're just here to pick up their item or to drop off their item. So they're literally here for like 3 minutes and then they leave.
Yeah. So that doesn't really.
And I meet them outside at the top, up at the street. I don't bring people in my shop unless it's somebody, unless I absolutely have to. And then I'm fine with having them in there.
Awesome.
For a meeting or something like that.
Yeah. So what would you say would be the advantages of starting a customer-centric business model over a product?
Yeah. So the advantages definitely are, you don't have to worry about inventory unless it's really the only inventory you have is your supplies, your cleaning supplies, your tools, things that you need to actually complete the work. Maybe it's glue for your acrylic if you're going to be working on an acrylic project or something like that. So there really isn't any inventory. So you're still shipping, but it's usually if you have customers that sent you stuff from far away and you have to ship it back to them, right? Other advantage is that you gain a lot of laser experience very quickly because you are constantly having curveballs thrown at you all the time. So you're forced to figure it out, right? Because if you're just like, I don't know, what's a good analogy? It's like you get stuck in the product centric world. You get stuck in doing the same things over and over, and you really get good at those. But as soon as someone brings you something strange, you're lost, or you may get it done, but you're not going to have. It's going to take you a long time, and you're going to feel like, why is this taking me so long to get this done? Why am I so nervous about this? Why can I not? Oh, because I've never done this before. Right? So you learn by being thrown in the fire in a customer-centric based business because you have such a wide variety of not only fixturing weird things up, but working with different materials. I've probably laser engraved everything known to man, including food. I mean, everything, every material. So I know mostly what is going to be okay and what's not and how it's going to react. And I would never get that in a product-centric based business, right? I would not get that knowledge. So that's another benefit is I feel like you learn a lot faster, laser engraving techniques. Another one is you get to command your own pricing and you can fluctuate it and change it anytime you want based on the project. So you don't have to have fixed pricing that is competing with everybody else trying to sell the same thing online that you have or something similar. You can just be like, you can just kind of make up your own prices. You do have to understand what, other maybe places around you are kind of charging for this kind of work. You kind of get an idea of what people can stomach. And you want your customer in the end, the way I like to look at it is I want my customer in the end to feel like they got a great deal. And I want to feel like I got a great deal too.
Yeah, right? that's the best place to be.
That's the ultimate goal. I don't want to feel like I raked them over the coals and dug into their wallet and took all their money. And I don't want to also feel like I'm working on their project saying I should have charged more for this.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I don't want to be in that situation. So you can command your own pricing and it's flexible. Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's three benefits.
Yeah,
right there.
That's definitely a great point. This is something that comes up a lot. You'll see online when talking about laser business stuff, and people get really race to the bottom mindset with pricing, and they think, oh, well, I have to charge this low price if I'm doing X tumblers for my realtor because, that's just what the going rate is or something like that. But it's like, I don't think people understand that most customers, if they're realtors, shops, whatever, they don't have time to go out and interview 5 to 10 different laser engravers out there. Like if you are local and you're reasonable and you can get the job done, that's probably the end of the story. no one's going to be like, oh yeah, let me take what you have here, and then I'm going to bank it against what this guy over here is doing. No, I mean, I know that from experience, because as a business, I have a lot of just, not part-time, but contract services that I use. And once I find someone that I like, I vibe with, and their prices to me seem reasonable because they understand reasonable pricing, I don't go looking around, really. I mean, maybe that's to my detriment, but I don't have the time. And they're like, none of these people really have the time. So just as long as you're fair and, just like you said, you're getting a good deal out of it, they're feeling like they got a good deal out of it, because that becomes additional work down the line. They'll come back to you. That is the place where you want to be.
100%. They will come back, right? And I would say the only time that, to touch on what you were saying, the only people that are going to shop around, and this could be a different topic down the road, different podcast, is, when someone's about to drop 1,000 Stanley cups for their corporate event for their Christmas party, and they need you to engrave them all, they're going to be shopping around.
That's a pretty big, yeah.
Right?
That's a big time.
And I've had orders like that, right?
Oh, wow.
And it's hard, because now you're like, what's worth it to me? You got to kind of figure out, you still want them to feel that they are getting a great deal, and so are you. The last thing you want to be doing is being a slave to your lasers, doing 1,000 Stanley cups for a job, feeling like you got the short end of the stick. That is not where you want to be.
No.
So it's a tricky thing, and maybe we can talk about that down the road, pricing large bulk stuff when it comes to customer-centric engraving, corporate B2B stuff.
Yeah, that's a whole different ball game there.
Yeah.
What would you say are some advantages of the product model?
Oh, some advantages of the product model. Huh.
In your eyes, what you think?
Well, right off the bat, every morning you know exactly what you're going to be engraving. You've done it 1,000 times before. It's easy as butter. You could probably load it into the laser blindfold, right? You don't even have to. You don't even have to think about it. It's just slapping a new name or a new date or a realtor's logo in the same place that you've been engraving for years. It's so consistent. It's so easy. You don't have to think about it. The other thing is you can lock in your pricing. You have consistent pricing. That could be a plus too, right? You know that you're always going to be making the right amount of profit because you've set it that way, and you know that you're not going to ever feel like you're getting the short end of the stick because you set the price, and you know that when you're done with that job, you know exactly how long it's going to take of your time, of your power. You know all the details. So when you priced it, you knew that you were going to be making this percentage of profit, on that item, and you're good, right? So with customer centric, sometimes I could think that, this is going to take me 20 minutes to get this done. And then all of a sudden, here I am 45 minutes into it going, this is a little bit more complicated than I thought, You don't have that with product centric. You know what you're getting into. So there's a plus right there. You can really get some great markups by buying in bulk or buying in groups, group buys. I hear that's a thing now. A lot of people are doing large wholesale group buy clubs. You can really get that price down per unit, but keep your profit margin the same, keep your markup the same. So that's something cool you can do, right? Let's see, what's another benefit to product centric? Another benefit of product centric is here we go, lack of having to deal with people. Right? You don't have to talk to people face to face. You're not going to have so much human interaction between you and the customer. Could just be little messages, could be emails. If you do it right and your products are right, you shouldn't be having much interaction at all. Right? If you're really rocking and rolling,
that's the best case scenario.
You really shouldn't be having much interaction at all. You should just be, your listing is so clear. your drop down menus of what their options are so crystal clear. Your shipping is streamlined. You really shouldn't be having any interaction at all. And that can be a plus, allowing you to do other things and focus on other things. Because I will tell you, sometimes the phone calls get in the way of me wanting to do other things. It's not, and I have to sometimes I have to call people back at the end of the day because it's just too much. I have to focus on actually completing the jobs that are in front of me already. So, anyway, there's a couple right there. Couple benefits.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. Benefits on my end, pretty much your list is exactly why I went that route. I designed some of my products 2012, 2011, something I came up with in Adobe Illustrator like around that time period. And to this day, I still sell them. I've been cutting them every year, probably thousands of sets by this time. It's just something that I probably haven't even loaded the source file up on my computer in I don't even know how long. It's just a part of my files that are already a part of my Lightburn setup.
Yep.
And it just goes and I cut them and I have, I know how to package them. I know how to ship them. I know what the prices I know the prices are going to be. And yeah, that is definitely one of the major advantages. It's just something I like having control over. I would love to do more customer-centric stuff going forward, and I could possibly see it happening with now that I've started this YouTube channel, the Justin Laser YouTube channel. It's only slightly over a year old, but I've gotten a lot of interesting emails recently. I got one where someone is reaching out. I don't know if I'm going to actually do this or not. It hasn't materialized completely, but they're looking for, they saw my video on the Viking coin that I made with the fiber laser. And they're looking for coins to be made for a movie that they're filming. It's like, it's about, I don't know exactly what it's about, but it focuses on the idea of a coin, and they have the idea for the graphic. They're just looking to get the graphics done. And you're like, hey, can you make it just like that? And I'm just like, how could we work that out? I'm just like, yeah, probably. That sounds like fun. And that's something that in the past I would have probably turned down because I'd be like, hey, I'm too busy with the other stuff. But that sounds like fun. And it's something that, I get a lot of emails nowadays where it's stuff that I would have never considered before. Yeah. But now, and that's another thing that I always tell people, again, social media, even if it's something that, hey, why am I making a video of this or posting a picture of this? It's stupid. No one's going to watch it. Well, sometimes people watch these things, and it's sometimes people that you don't expect. And that leads to business. I'm sure some of your content has led to business that you might not have expected otherwise.
Oh, 100%. So when I moved here in Atlanta, I found out that I don't live in Atlanta. I'm about an hour north of Atlanta, but I'm very close to Atlanta. So Georgia's the new Hollywood. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did know that.
Okay. So Georgia's the new Hollywood. So there are tons of movie studios here, and they are constantly filming movies here. And I really didn't do much of any of that in California. I did some stuff for Guy's Grocery Games.
I saw your client list. Yeah, you had Guy's Grocery Games, Paramount Network, Netflix. This is wild.
Yeah, so I started getting approached when I moved here from the prop masters at these studios, and they ask. It's a thing, man. So I would take the job for the coins because I can tell you, in the last year, I have done engraving for. There's a movie that came out a little while ago called The Pain Hustlers. Okay, it was on Netflix with Emily Blunt, I think. And anyway, they reached out to me and they said, hey, we got this bracelet and we need you to engrave on the inside of the bracelet. It's a prop for the movie. Can you do that? Yes, I can. Right? So I had to figure out how to engrave on the inside of a bangle. Right? Wow. And that is, if you've ever watched the movie, you will see my bracelet in there. It's a very close, tight shot of it too. It was like a
Interesting. Oh,
moment
I'm gonna watch this now.
where it's opened up and it's presented to her, and they go tight in on it, and it's right there. And I'm like, that's my bracelet,
That's
right?
amazing.
And then recently, Paramount reached out to me, and they had me engrave a bunch of stuff and do some other stuff, which it hasn't released yet, so I can't say what it is. But it was for a series called The King of Tulsa. So that's a TV series on Paramount Plus, right?
Very cool.
With Sylvester Stallone. So there will be a bunch of stuff in those scenes that I personally engraved for them. So getting into props, engraving props for movies and that is a thing. And if you got anybody around you or any studios, you should start going to them and saying, hey, I can do this stuff.
Yeah.
Because you will get jobs.
Yeah. That's really awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do it if it comes back around.
Yeah.
You know, if they actually want to do it, I'm like, hey, yeah, I can definitely do that. No problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do your social media, kids. It's very important.
It is.
So I was talking about advantages.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of advantages.
Yeah.
Of both
Okay.
models.
So let's do some disadvantages of the customer model.
Oh, yeah. Well, I already kind of touched on a few.
Yeah.
I kind of touched on a few.
Well, so what's like the biggest disadvantage you think? We'll go with that.
The biggest disadvantage is, I guess, I don't know if it's a disadvantage, but, you're either the kind of person that likes the excitement of knowing that there's going to be something walking new through the door every week, or you're not. And if you're one of those people that likes consistency and knowing what's going to be on the other side of the door every morning when you open it up, then that's great. But if you don't like that, you're going to find it a major disadvantage because it is so variable, and it's constantly changing. It's a liquid type business where you're constantly refixturing, resetting up, retooling. That's what we call in the industry, retooling your machines to work on so many different items. It can get a lot sometimes if you're not used to it. At least in the beginning, it was a lot, right? Another disadvantage is it can be a little tricky figuring out pricing in the beginning, right? I think harder than figuring out pricing for products that are online, that you kind of can do a bunch of research and figure out analytics of what you should be charging for that product, what the market will bear. So it can be a little bit of a disadvantage when you're just getting started to figure out what to charge for a gold-plated lighter with engravings on both sides, because you're learning and you don't really know in the beginning how long that's going to take you. And it's not just the engraving time, folks. Listen up, okay? I'm not talking about the time that it takes for your machine to put the logo on the lighter. I'm talking about everything from the minute you pick up the phone to the time it took you to make the proof to send to the customer, to wait for them to respond, to make the revision that they asked for, to get final approval, to then go over and fixture up the lighter, then engrave it. So I always want to really bang that in to people's heads. Like, it's the total time that it took you to do the job, not just the time, because the fiber laser is going to put that logo on there in 14 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? That's not what I'm talking about. It's everything in that circle for that one product that you need to figure out what you need to get to do that job. And I talk about that in my talk a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, that could be a disadvantage if you don't know what you're doing and how long things really take in reality. And with Product Centric, you know exactly how long that product's going to take to create and ship. Well, in this business, you don't. And you could get it wrong and find yourself wishing that you charged more. Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah. That's definitely, I see that a lot online too. It's like, hey, how long does this take to run? And people are basing their product pricing off of just how long the laser's actually running, where I guess I'll give you the benefit of the doubt if you're doing a CO2 project, because it might take an hour, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes to run. Still, you shouldn't be doing it that way. It makes more sense. But when you're on the fiber laser and everything takes 3 minutes or like 30 seconds, and you're like, oh, cool, man, how much am I making per hour? No. It's a lot more than that. And I'm doing that right now, actually, because I'm launching another small offshoot business where I'm going to do products that are more familiar to people in the space. Like, 'cause what I've been doing is a little kind of obscure, and I hate trying to like explain it all the time and trying to like, hey, you should do things this way. So I'm doing something that everyone's going to recognize. And I'm using my fiber laser. I'm going to use my CO2 a little bit. And I have been running times, and it's like a multi-step process, right? I need to know the time on the fiber. It's something I have to tumble, so I'm tumbling.
Yep.
I need to know how long it's going to tumble for. I'm doing other treatments on it. And all this stuff is just one part of the pricing formula, because it all has to come together. Otherwise, I'm going to be cheating myself, more or less.
Yeah. And figuring out, in a customer-centric based business, figuring out what your hourly rate is, it helps a lot when figuring all this out. And there's lots of ways to do that. I don't think we have time to get into it.
Yeah.
But figuring out what you need to not just survive, but to thrive. Okay. And I'm not talking about the survival wage. I'm talking about, you have to really take into consideration your experience, the equipment costs, all this stuff, and what you need. And when you have your what I'm worth per hour and what I need per hour, that helps you start with pricing a little bit,
Yeah.
And I want to say I do the time method only when people bring me material to cut on the CO2. That's the only time I use the how long did it take, because it really, if they're bringing me sheets of acrylic, and they supplied me with the file, all I'm doing is loading it in, cutting it, and I can load the job in ahead of time and know how long it's gonna take.
Exactly.
So I just look at those numbers, look at my hourly rate, use the time, and figure out what I'm going to charge them per nested sheet of parts they need cut. That's the only time I do that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
As long as they're doing a lot of the upfront, because as soon as you add file prep in there,
it's totally different.
Yeah, totally different. Totally different. Yeah, and so on my end, on the product end, the major disadvantage is you could be designing products that nobody wants.
Yeah.
And that is always a risk. Again, I'm doing that right now. I'm designing an entire line of things. I'm spending a lot of money on getting blanks cut for me. I'm not just buying things off Alibaba right now. I'm having blanks specifically made for me with what I'm doing. And this could completely flop, and I could be stuck with a lot of material and a lot of time that I wasted because no one wants the products that I'm making. Look, I'm making an educated guess. It is something that's familiar. I think I've been doing this long enough. I've been making products long enough. I think I can do it, but I don't know. I don't know. I could be stuck, and I could have wasted tons of my time. And that is the major disadvantage of having a product-based laser
getting
business.
Stuck with inventory that didn't sell, making a big purchase, making assumptions, not doing enough market research, not testing the market, not trying the item out. Those can backfire on you. I still have some stuff from my early days on my shelf here that just didn't make it, because I did a little bit of product-centric stuff early on, and I still have some items that have been here with me for almost 10 years. And I just look at them every time. I'm like, and that's why I'll never do product-centric engraving, which is, that's just my own crap. That's not, I shouldn't be thinking like that. But I am starting to get back into it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, that's a great transition. You mentioned that you are starting to dabble again. So what made you want to try that out?
What made me start to, want to try that out was I wanted something that was constant, and one of the things that we haven't really talked about, and I know this is both for both models, there is times of the year where things dip down, right? They dip, your sales dip, your phone calls dip, whatever it is that I do, your sales can dip. But what I wanted was to create something that was not necessarily hands-free, but like that would fill in those spaces, and I feel like the only way I could kind of fill in those spaces is if I start with a very meager offering of some online things.
A smattering
of a few tried and true things, and test, revisit the whole thing again and try my luck at some new marketing methods. I like Samita's idea with contacting influencers, that are on Instagram and saying, hey, can I send you one of my custom laser engraved leather patch hats? I'll put your logo on it. Tell me what you think. I like those new ideas. What I don't like is and nobody likes, is I don't want to spend thousands of dollars on Google ad traffic to bring people to my website, right? That does not interest me right now.
No.
At all. So I want to try some of these new creative marketing ways. I have a presence on YouTube. I feel like I've gotten more comfortable on camera over the years, so I feel like I could make some good content for some of those Instagram reels showing my new products out, so I want to try it again. And I'm not buying millions of dollars of inventory. I probably spent like $1,200 overall with everything that's on my site right now. Right. And I'm just building it up. I'm trying to do it right. So I just want to try it again. I'm not going to give up. All right.
Yeah. And it's another thing where even if like ultimately it doesn't become the thing you want to do, you'll learn a lot.
Oh, I will.
It's a big part of this game too.
Right.
I'm also, I kind of abandoned short form content and any content that wasn't YouTube videos over the past, I don't even know, like 5 to 8 years. I've kind of been like washed away of that stuff. I'm going straight TikTok shop. I'm going to give it a shot. I've been studying. I scroll and I study and I bookmark, and I'm going to give it a shot. Like people are, after being a part of the Laser Maker Con social media panel. I don't know if you watched that one, but
I don't know.
You can go back and watch it, but
they're killing it.
Some of the numbers that they say, I am just like, excuse me?
Yeah, pardon me?
Pardon me? Like, could I have a fraction of that as a crumb?
Right.
So yeah, I've been really studying and doubling down, just like watching content, watching tutorials, because you always have to be learning. This is just the nature of the business.
Right.
And yeah, I'm going to be giving it a shot. And either way, I'm going to be reporting on it on my YouTube channel. So if it works, if it doesn't work.
Please do. Yes. Go into the fire for me. Tell me how hot it is, and then come out and tell us all about it. Please.
Yeah. I'm trying to get TikTok's being annoying with their business registration stuff.
Oh, dude, it's so annoying. I had to get my shop up there. I haven't even really started utilizing it yet, but it's live. It's there. But
you got through?
I got through, and it was months ago, and I have the shop. But man, it was very difficult. They have cracked down. I think they were just letting anybody open up a shop for a while, and that backfired on them because people weren't shipping out what they were selling. It was just the Wild West.
It is very much the Wild West.
They really cracked down. I mean, and they do ask for a lot of information, more than a bank. So if you're not comfortable giving out everything, they ask for a lot, dude.
Yeah, I even had like my lawyer draft certain things that I know they're going to ask for in like paper. I'm like, hey, can you make sure that I have this? Blah, blah, blah. And man, they are really, I'm not even at the shop portion yet. I'm just at the business registration part.
Yeah.
And they still won't let me get through it. So
you're not alone. You're not alone.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I'm also, I'm going to be doing a separate website for it. I'm going to put it on Etsy. So I'm going to be reporting back. I do have an e-commerce background, so I'm hoping that I can dust a lot of that off that I haven't used in a while, because I've gotten very comfortable with what I had. Because kind of once you build up a system, it kind of runs itself. And that's what I've had over the past 10 to 12 years with the system that I have. It kind of just operates on its own. I don't have to do anything really that much to keep it going. So yeah, it gets boring. That's another downside of the product thing that you're doing all the time. So I'm excited to really jump in and also whatever other custom things come my way via email, which seems to be happening. So
Sure.
let's see where that can get going.
Sure. Yeah. And don't forget that, you know, we've focused a lot in this podcast episode on kind of the way I don't want to make it sound to everybody that the only thing I do is meet individuals and work on lighters and watches.
Right.
And do all these small, tiny little things. A lot of the times during Q4, I'll do bigger, and throughout the year, I will do much bigger contracts with like manufacturing companies or corporations that need a lot of gifts engraved or a lot of things. And I'll show them my selection from my supplier catalog, and they're just like, I don't like any of that. How about we just buy what we want and send it to you and you engrave that? And I'm like, okay, let's do that.
Fair enough, right?
Right. So there's a lot of money to be made doing business to business and contract engraving when you're a customer-centric place.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these machine shops, they have all this sick equipment, CNC machines, the water jets, you know, electroplating, you know, EDM wire cutters. They got all this stuff. But when it comes time to do that fine engraving, those microscopic engravings,
yeah, they're not.
They either don't have a facility there for it or they just don't want to deal with it. So they call you and they say, hey, we need these micro QR codes put on thousands and thousands of products and different serial numbers. Can you do it? And you say, what do you say, folks? You say, yes, yes, I can. And you have buckets of product dropped off at your shop.
And there you go.
And you make lots of money.
That's
right?
The way to be.
Right.
So I guess let's close it out on a question that I think gets posed a lot, especially in like the comment sections of all the videos that we post and all the videos that we watch.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on the laser space being oversaturated?
What are my thoughts on the laser? Somebody asked me this the other day, and it was the first time I had been asked this. The cream will rise to the top. That's all I got to say. That's it, man.
That's a great answer.
Just because you have a laser doesn't mean anything. There's so much more to it, and I'm glad that they've become more affordable. I really am, because it's gotten so many more people excited about it. But you're gonna have to put in the work to be a successful business and do it full time. You can't have one foot in. You've got to go all in. So that's my motivational thing. Like, okay, you got the laser. Okay. You're watching my videos. You're watching Justin's videos.
Watch
right?
all the videos.
Watch all the videos. Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. Then get in there and start using your machine. You know, go to Goodwill, go buy a bunch of scrap material, start making mistakes, start burning every single thing you can until you get it right. So you become a master at your trade, and then you will make it, right? But if you give up too early and you don't hone all these skills, then you're just going to be another person with a laser, right? So I don't think it's oversaturated, because right now I think we're in this space where we're going to see who's got both feet in and who has the motivation to take it all the way. And I guarantee you that it's not going to be 100% of everybody.
Yeah.
But I'm super glad that they're more affordable and there's so much easy access to it. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see all these people that I've either done consultations with or that have commented on my channel. I am so excited and rooting for them to take it all the way. I want them to win, right?
Absolutely.
I want them to win. And I'm glad that we're able to give them the knowledge and education that we have learned over the past decade and start sharing that freely in hopes that they will be successful.
Yeah. Same. Couldn't have said it better myself. Same with me. The people that I talk to, people I consult with that really want to do this and they're really serious. I want everybody to win. I want everybody to be successful.
Right.
I think it's, if someone wants to say it's saturated at the very low end, a very low effort, low, no one, not really trying, maybe low level, but as soon as you will put in any more effort than just the lowest common denominator is, you can have it. You can have it. It's not impossible. This industry is not going anywhere. People needing personalized items is never going anywhere.
Never going anywhere.
It's never gone anywhere in all of human history,
right?
Except for up. It's there, and all you have to do is put in the effort and just try things. You're going to fail. Things are going to not, we've both had things that, you crash and burn on certain things. It's just part of the game. You win or you learn, basically.
Yeah, there's plenty of pieces of the pie left for everybody. Is it going to get more competitive on some of the more common things, like every other product that comes out in the world? Yeah, it's going to get more competitive. Hats, custom hats with leather hat patches the price is going to go down from $29.95 or whatever, the $35 flat rate. That's going to go down. Wake up. It's going to go down. The price is going to get smashed down over the next 2 years. But you can also do things to offset that, like offer other cooler customizations. You can start to come up with original ways to decorate hats. You don't have to just be like, oh, well, I can only charge $15 for a custom hat patch anymore, so there's really no point in me doing it anymore. Well, come up with a new patch. Make something new. Bring it alive again. Put your own twist on it so you can command that higher profit margin again. That's what I say, right? But it is going to get saturated on more common things. The price will get hammered down, like just with everything else.
Yep. Yeah. So the popular items are popular for a reason, because they sell, but that also means more people are going to be jumping on them. So just be aware of that. But there's nothing wrong with pursuing those products.
Nope.
And then I spend an inordinate amount of time just digging through websites. I dig through Etsy just to see what people are making with lasers that you would have no idea. You'd be like, wow, like that product, like they use a laser. You wouldn't even know. They don't advertise it. They don't say this is made with a laser, but you just know that person used a laser to make that product. They're selling hundreds, if not thousands of them a week. Yep. And that's a full-time business right there. It's just keep your eye out, keep grinding, and it can happen.
I know you're talking about the super secret laser engraved women's fedora hats.
That sounds amazing.
That's a thing right now.
I had no idea that's actually a thing.
Go look it up, dude.
Laser engraved women's fedora hats.
Felt fedoras. Yeah, go look it up.
Oh my God.
They're burning them by hand with by some ladies or men or ladies. They're doing it by hand. Other people are using lasers with 4-inch lenses. Go look it up.
Directly on the felt?
Right on the felt, baby. It's hot.
Crazy.
It's hot. Check it out.
You heard it here first.
It's possible. It's totally possible with the laser. You don't have to do it by hand.
It's amazing.
The hand ones, so they are able to command a higher price, and rightly so. They're sitting there, drawing these designs on the hat. You should command a higher price for that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm out with the fedora, the felt hat.
Yeah. You ever smell laser engraved felt? It smells terrible.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going near that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was extremely fun, and I learned a lot. Is there anything that you wanted to add that we missed?
No,
I had a whole note sheet here, and for some reason it's not loading on my Google Drive. So,
but we did it.
Kind of freestyled it. Yeah.
I think we freestyled really well. I really like the talk that we had here.
Yeah.
I think we hit on a lot of really important points.
Awesome. Yeah. So, for anybody who wants to find you online, if they have already not found you, where would they find you best?
Just type in Laser Engraving 911 on YouTube, and my silly face will come up, and you can start watching my videos, and throw a sub on there if you haven't subscribed. And if you want to look at my website and how that's out, you can find me at sonomalaserengraving.com.
You heard it. You heard it from the man himself. Thanks, Michael.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.